Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight, we have our Bakanitai.
Sorry, I'm just sipping from my depression real quick. Don't mind me.
And our czar of source material, John.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hello. No.
Yeah, so tonight, the three of us have gotten together to do a spoiler cast for SNAFU / what's the fucking full title? I would just call it
My
SNAFU.
teen romantic comedy SNAFU, or OreGairu is like the Japanese abbreviation. Or
yeah, and like the literal title is My Youth Romantic Comedy is Wrong as I Expected.
yes, that's like the actual good title, honestly.
Good title? No, that's a fucking terrible title
What?
for anything. I just like SNAFU.
What
We'll
does
just call it
SNAFU even mean? Because I know it's like a term, but I honestly don't know what
it is. It is okay. It's an acronym. A lot of people just kind of use it to mean like something that's really screwed up, which is kind of what it means. But it's originally a military acronym. It made situation normally all fucked up.
Seriously?
No, situation normal all fucked up.
Oh yeah, that.
Because, you know, in the military, everything's always fucked.
Yeah.
That's the situation's normal. Everything's fucked.
But that's what SNAFU actually. That's like the origin of it. Yes.
And then we have FUBAR, which is
FUBAR
like
fucked up beyond all recognition.
Yeah, FUBAR is like when shit actually hits the fan. Like, oh man, it's fucked up beyond all recognition.
Huh. The more you know.
You got learnt, Natai. But yes, we are going to be doing a spoiler cast about that because I have just recently watched it after being prodded and poked by Natai for the last year to actually sit down and watch this.
Wait, so did you watch all?
Well, yeah, I watched all 3 seasons over the last week and a half.
But that was like your first time, right?
Oh, yeah, it was my first time. I mean, I've known about SNAFU for a while, and I've heard people talk about it, but I never really sat down to watch it and or read it. But John, you've actually read the source material, so later in this, we're going to have a question for you.
Sure. I'll try to answer to the best of my abilities, but I will preface this by saying I only picked it up after the first season of SNAFU.
So you watched the first season first?
Yes.
Before you started reading the light novel?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about, like I said, the SNAFU, both the anime and the light novel. So it is based on a light novel that ran for 17 volumes between 2011 and 2019. So the first season of this was done by a different studio than the one that did the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So the first season was done by Brainspace, and the second and third season were both done by Studio Feel.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about that first.
There's a lot to go talk about in that.
Because there is a lot to talk about with this, mostly about how it looks. The difference for me was huge because I went straight from the last episode of season 1 into the very first episode of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Huge difference in the quality of the art and the animation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like it increases like almost tenfold.
I think not even like quality wise, but the design and the art style they show is completely different. Like even tonally, like what type of tone the art style like sort of like presents itself. You know, it's kind of
That
insane.
and the color palette is brighter too.
To some extent, yeah, it's interesting. Like I mean, John, like maybe like obviously you know more of it than I, but from the very little I've seen of the art of the original light novels, it seems like season 1 is a bit closer to that.
Yeah. So, like, the art style and season 1's, like, art direction for the show is very, like, old. Like, we're talking circa 2010s old. And I guess, you know, that's when it fucking, 2011, right?
2013, I think, the first season. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
2013 was the first season.
I was talking about the light novel, but...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never mind. Pay no attention to the idiot behind the counter.
2013, yeah. And it's, like, it's an older, outdated style. And you can obviously tell, like, the author comes from that era of probably when they started like writing and wanting to have this design. But yet there's a stark
Which probably
realization.
means it was conceptualized in like 2008.
Well, what's crazy is like, I remember, God, I just watched season 3 like literally yesterday because I've been putting off after season 2 ended. waited and I finished reading the light novel, so I knew what season 3 was going to be about, and I didn't want to watch it because I said fuck this. But oh god, they did my girl so wrong. Anyway,
yeah.
As for the art, fucking Brain Base did a great job with like trying to stick to the designs, but the season 2 and especially season 3 is just, it looks so much prettier.
Yeah,
and it's a lot. The colors pop more. The designs are sharper and cuter, and I fucking love it. Like
the character, like the character lines, just, like you say, it looks so much sharper. It's a huge contrast. It's a welcome change too.
And I think like it really, especially with season 2, 3, it really fits the tone of the show way more. The more sort of cartoony, to some extent, even cutesy art style of season 1. Season 1 kind of felt, but it's a very loose kind of art style, but season 2 and 3 feels much more grounded, you know.
Well, yeah,
I would agree with that. Yeah, it's an interesting way to put it, but yeah, I would agree with it. So and this is probably a great source of frustration for Natai. Season 3 was supposed to come out way earlier than it did.
Waited 5 years for this.
But, you know, because of COVID, it got pushed back. Didn't it get pushed back 2 seasons later than it was supposed to originally air?
No,
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about the second delay. The first delay was devastating.
I think it was supposed to air during the winter season of 2020.
I think it was supposed to be winter, and then it ended up being delayed to summer, and then it got delayed again.
Which is
it was
amazing in and of
spring, and then it got delayed to summer. My bad.
Yeah, which is amazing in and of itself because the light novel just finished at the very end of 2019. So I wonder if part of the reason it was delayed was because they wanted to wait until the light novel was actually finished so they knew what to animate.
As far like I think that's one of the reasons for like we waited so long for season 3 is because the author sort of took his time with finishing the series. Like the last 2 volumes, it took a while for them to release, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then there was like if I remember right, and someone can fact check me on this because I didn't research it before we started. I feel like I remember seeing a news article saying that the author had finished the final volume, but when it came back from the editor, he was like, "No, I have a better idea. Give it back."
I mean, I don't blame him for struggling with it. It's such a it's such a heavy story to some extent, and I mean, I understand it that he wants to get it right, you know.
Which also brings me to something else. So, like I said, Natai, you've been bugging me for the last year or so to watch this because you're like, I think you'd like this if you just gave it a chance. I think you'd fucking like it. Just give it a chance, man.
Oh yeah, I'm a fucking simp for this show.
And for the longest time, I kept putting it off because if I ever do, I'll watch it when it's actually finished. That way I can sit down and marathon the whole thing. And then John, and this is me, I think I was a little drunk when I said this to John. John, we were on a call one night just by ourselves, and John's like, yeah, I mean, I like this, but I mean, I'm not sure about you. Do you just want me to tell you how it ends?
No, like, did you tell him?
I'm like, sure. And John's like, okay, so in the end.
No.
Listen. You have zero idea. Like,
no.
I had to tell somebody. I had to. Okay.
And I was the only person around at the time.
Such
and
a
you know what?
whore. Why would you?
I said to myself, like, well, no. He asked me, do you ever plan on either reading or watching this? And I'm like, probably not. And he's like, all right, well, Yui doesn't get picked.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I went into my first exposure to this, besides just knowing that it exists, was being spoiled for the ending.
we'll get to the ending.
Listen, we will. I have so much to say about the ending, but you have zero idea how crushed I was and because of how dirty they did my girl Yui.
Bro, we talked about it. I'm with you there. There was a lot of crying for me watching this show.
So can we talk? So we've mentioned about how Brain Space did the first season.
Yeah.
So after watching the first season, I came to the conclusion that I don't think I could actually fault anyone if they dropped this show, like especially if they dropped it after the first 3 or 4 episodes, or even if they dropped it after the first season. I don't think I could
It's
like fault someone for that.
Yeah, like I totally get it because even by the end of the show, you get to like the more juicy stuff, like the end of the
Mm.
first season. But even then, it's very I don't know if toned down, but it's not. It's so close to being like that first like few episodes of season 2 where they're like, oh shit, okay, I see where this is going, and
Yeah.
and I think like the whole production itself, it's just kind of not that special, you know. Like there aren't a whole
Yeah,
lot
there's
of
nothing
moments where
like
like, oh yeah, like great direction, like great. It's just okay.
it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. There's just nothing that's like enough to write home about any of it. Whether you're talking about the like the OP and the ED seem kind of generic.
Okay, fuck off. I like
The
the
OP
OP
is
and
great.
ED.
Yeah,
like
I'm
get
not
out of
saying-
here.
Again, I'm not
no,
saying
the
that
OP
they're
is
bad,
great.
I'm
The
just
ED,
saying
the
that
song
they're
is
average.
fucking great. I love the song.
I understand what you're saying. Like, I completely agree. Especially the beginning of season 1, even just all of season 1. There's nothing really stellar about anything in this show.
And I would say that the first 2, maybe even 3 episodes are kind of not very great.
No, I disagree. I think they're like I think what carries it, and I mean, even though we shit talk Brain Space a lot, they do deserve a whole lot of credit for getting some things really fucking right. The casting is so spot on. Like honestly, the voice actors carry that first season. Like it's insane.
Well, they would have to because it's certainly not the animation.
Yeah, for sure. But like
Yeah,
even though we
like-
shit talk it, I mean, they got some things really right.
Yeah, to
They
me, the reason I even finished watching SNAFU and I felt like I was enticed into picking up the light novel was because I really liked how the characters were made. Like, it was just interesting. Like, with, Hachiman, like, self-depriving? Self-deprecating, thank you. Self-deprecating character who's just, like, has funny inner monologues, and I'm just like, it's kind of wacky, and I just loved it. Even though it was it felt super tropey too, though. That's why it was like, it's kind of like, it was like, oh, this is going to be your basic bitch rom-com. Like, no one cares, right? We get a million of these every year.
If you only saw like the first 2 or 3 episodes of the show, you might be thinking that though. Like if that was your entire exposure, because it does, like in its initial outset in the first season, it does kind of present itself as this basic generic rom-com. Which is why I say, like, if someone dropped at that point, I wouldn't fault them for it.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully the Hikigai's voice actor really carried the character, and it made me interested enough just because I was like, he doesn't. At least we get to hear what he's saying and why he responds. Great, yeah, I love his fucking monologues.
His voice actor, Takia Ekiguchi, like fucking phenomenal performance. Like
probably
holy
his
shit.
best role, honestly. Like, and also, it to me at least, and also like it's a very like a very small detail, but amongst the whole changes that Studio Field brought to the table, I think Alex, I talked to you about it, but I didn't notice on my first watch, but then now rewatching the whole show, I didn't notice that on like when he transitioned from season 1 to 2 and 3, like he changed a bit the pitch of how he voices Hachiman. Like, if you go back to season 1, he's, like, much more higher pitched. It's very, very fucking subtle, but I really enjoy, like, how he sort of adjusted, like, his voice.
Oh, yeah, his voice is certainly a bit lower in pitch throughout the second and third season, yeah.
Which is great.
Except for the times where he's making fun of people.
Yeah, I totally forgot about, like, I didn't notice it on my first watch. It's so... it's so fucking good.
Yeah. Is it also bad when I look at Hachiman and I'm like... Ooh, I see a little bit too much of myself at that age.
See, the thing is,
dude,
they built Hachiman to be that guy that a lot of people can relate to, because that's how a lot of people who probably enjoy this show related to this. They were like in high school, they were the kid, that not very popular. They had a lot of like inner thoughts. They were just basically it's about the introverts, right? Like Hachiman is an introverted man who has honest opinions, but he's not a bad guy. He's a decent guy.
He's just a very closed-off person.
Well, it's like the two of the main characters, that being Hachiman and Yukino, are like some of the most introverted characters ever.
Yeah, and it's just it's a rom-com, my teenage comedy, romantic comedy.
I remember when ReZero aired, and a lot of people like sort of had that sort of like shocking revelation about themselves, about how like, oh, at first I was like really liking Super, but then I realized I'm just a piece of shit or that. I remember a whole lot of conversations like that happened when that show aired. And not to get to like too much details because it like I'd rather not, but I used to be a really like cunt type person, honestly. And when I
used to,
debatable. No, but in all seriousness, when I watched the first season of like SNAFU, I was like very in that same headspace. It's like, yeah, fuck that. Like I'm like okay on my own. I don't need friends. I don't need to be dependent on people. Like I like fuck this all like shallow type of friendships. People. I was that to some really fucking like I'm ashamed of how I was back then. But then, like, when season 2 came around...
As you should be.
Yeah, honestly. But then when season 2 came out, that was, like, the fucking slap in the face I really needed, honestly. Like, I as you can probably tell, I'm gonna gush a lot about this show, and this is, like, one of the reasons it's so important to me and dear, and, like, close and dear to my heart, because it was, like, a very fucking important wake-up call to me. And like... yeah, this show sort of wrecked me at certain points, and that was one of them. I'm not shitting, like... Oof.
I do like how Hachiman is introduced though with that manifesto.
It's so, and we'll talk about it by the end, but it's so fucking perfect in that sense, you know? Because there's so many guys
but
like
it
heck.
Seems like something I would do.
Yeah.
The problem is I never had a sensei that would tell me how stupid I was.
Oh, God bless Sensei.
You guys are so cringe. You guys are so cringe. See,
hey.
I'm like Hayato, all right, part of the popular group. I was never part of the outcast, so I can't even relate to how you weirdos felt.
Ouch.
That is something else that this show does really well, though. Like, it has a very it's like, well, number one, it's got somewhat of a large cast of characters that are recurring. But they all feel very unique, and they all feel like some of them sort of lean into tropes, but not too heavily.
Because the whole point
like,
is
what's the one that's named after a Lamborghini?
What?
Mira.
Oh,
Yumiko. There is a Lamborghini called a Mira.
Pink panties, unexpected.
Pink panties, unexpected.
My man.
I kind of want to hear that dubbed in English to see how it sounds.
You want the dub is no.
No.
Anyway,
I checked after. Never mind. Keep going.
We'll check after. But no, so Mira, the blonde girl who's introduced, she kind of seems like she's gonna be generic tsundere, but then you actually get some fucking development out of her, and it's like, oh, she's just this very insecure girl.
Yeah, your classic bitch trope, you know?
Yeah.
That's
also something else this show gets fucking right. How fucking bitchy so many young girls treat each other.
Oh, dude. Oof.
I mean, I went to fucking public high school. Like, granted, it was in the U.S. and not Japan, but I have to imagine that young women can be just as bitchy to each other in Japanese as they can be in English.
Nah, high school girls are fucking terrifying. No, but
I mean, you're not wrong.
But
you're not wrong.
That's one of the strengths of the shows, and like obviously it needs to be good at that because that's one of the main points of how sometimes like people not necessarily are just like stereotypes of something, but it's sort of how we perceive them. We sort of like force onto them these sort of like to some people it's ideals, but others it's just like, oh yeah, like we immediately write off some people because we think we get them, you know. Which is honestly kind of a shitty thing to do because it's like, you know, every person has like a whole shit going on in their life probably that we're just not aware of.
Yeah. So like the thing about SNAFU is if you're an American or if you're just someone from the West, if you've ever seen The Breakfast Club, right?
Oh, fucking phenomenal movie.
And it's insane because I watched The Breakfast Club like I want to say 3 years ago for the first time. And I'm like, when was this movie from? The 80s or something?
The 80s, I think.
Yeah, mid-80s.
So, and it's like, it's been over almost 40 years later, and yet we still have the same problems in high school, right?
Yeah.
Where when you're a teenager, it's a very insecure time in your life, and your preconceived notions where you put people in boxes based off of how they act or where they belong. And it's insane to me that even 40 years later, we still have these issues. And SNAFU is just kind of a modern day telling of the Breakfast Club without like without the cool 80s montages and music.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you could put 80s music in here, I'd probably think it was even better.
Oh, no.
I
No,
also
thank
one of
you.
the things
The
I also loved
the
is how
EDs, don't you forget him, RP.
that would have been a
Forget
great
about
fucking
me.
song to end with at the last episode.
Dude.
As if you weren't crying enough.
Aw.
I also love how SNAFU will introduce a character, and you're thinking, this is just going to be a character who's around, and when the problem's solved, this character's never going to be seen again. And then they'll show up later, and they'll actually have like something to say about what's happened. I mean, the biggest example I can give of that is the little girl from the first season, Rumi,
Yeah.
who shows up again in season 2.
That was great.
And it's like nothing's fucking changed about her. She's still a fucking loner.
No, that was the whole point, though. Like, she was, but not really. Like, the whole point was, let's be honest. Throughout season 2, is everyone just shitting on Hachiman for just like sort of like
existing.
Not that, but sort of like maybe helping people, but over his own expense. You know, sort of like just himself dragging himself on dirt just to help other people, and like it's kind of like, dude, we care about you. Stop acting like this. And
yeah, it's like you're being too altruistic.
Yeah, and it's
at
like,
this point. Stop.
And she was
stop
like,
it. Get some help.
And she was like a good reminder of, well, like my methods are kind of questionable, but at least I managed to help some people with it. Like I like that moment. It was like season 2 was kind of depressing to some extent. Then when came that moment, she's like, she turned out pretty okay, I suppose. I didn't fuck up everything.
Yeah. And then there was that whole thing in season 2 with the joint high school thing.
Oh my god, the fucking hand guy. Ugh.
That was so good.
That
and
was
you
so
know
good.
what? That guy is like every middle manager I've ever had to deal with in my life.
It made me so irrationally angry at that part. But I really liked how... So... Maybe, I don't know how everyone else felt about season 2, but I liked how they were dumping on Hachiman for like being...
Yeah.
Because in season 1, when we were introduced to him, he's, self-deprecating. He thinks, there's no real way to bond with people and this is all superficial. There's no genuine shit.
Yeah.
And then we follow him through season 1 and he's like, even though he acts like that, he still wants to help people. He still wants to be like he's still a good guy.
Yeah.
And in season 2, we see it even more where it's like, at his expense, he'll do it. And
he even Hachiman even verbalizes this when he says that when they're asking like, "What are you looking for?" And he's like, "I want the real deal."
Yeah,
I want something
It's
genuine.
like I can't fucking explain it any other way. There are no words. I'll know it when I feel it.
And it's beautiful because how it crescendos into season 3.
Yeah.
Is because, in season 1, when his teacher is like, you're a fucking stupid kid, you don't know how to communicate. And that's kind of a running theme, right? Where Hachiman doesn't know how to properly communicate and he feels like he needs to do everything on his own. And that's why the people get mad at him in season 2 because they're like, dude, after season 1, you helped so many of us out and we realize you're not actually like, sure, you were a loner and you didn't really get along with us, but it's not because for lack of trying. It's just, we also didn't give you a shot. And that's why in season 2, when they're asking for his help and they're like, you're actually a cool guy. And like when freaking Hayato,
that's his name?
Is it Hayama Hayato? Is that what it was?
Hayato Hayama.
Oh, okay,
Hayato Hayama. You got the names mixed up.
Yeah. So Hayato takes him out to go meet that girls, right? The other girls from high school, and they're all making fun of Hachiman. But then Hayato is like, fuck that. Like, this guy is actually really cool. And they're like, well, what are you doing? Like, you're a popular guy. This guy's a weirdo. And it's just like, it shows that even though it started as a superficial relationship, at least from Hayato's end, he's like, well, I kind of think of you as part of my friend group now.
Yeah.
Because you're actually kind of a cool guy.
Even though
he says that,
even though they're like polar opposites
same...
to some extent.
Yeah, I was gonna say he says that almost in the same breath. He's like, I don't really agree with most of what you do. And in fact, I don't really like you very much.
Yeah.
Like to Hachiman, Hayato is like the quintessential like I don't respect what you're doing, because to him, at least at the beginning, he's like, you're just like without you, your whole friend groups kind of fall apart. That's how shallow you are. But then Hayato is like,
I respect
well,
you.
well, fuck you, because they are my friends, you know.
Yeah, he's like, I respect your goals, but not your methods.
Exactly, because that scene always gets me when in season 2. Oh, in season 2 at the beginning when
Do you
there's
need
like
a minute?
no, I was taking a sip when there was this confession scene with Tobey and the Ibana, the girl with the glasses, and Hachiman sees that it's not gonna work out, and like she wished for their friend groups to stay together, and he sees that the only way to like sort of save this situation is to fucking just humiliate himself pretty much. And he's like, so he approaches her, he sort of like fakely like makes this confession, and when Yui and Yukino see him afterwards, they're like fucking disappointed, and Yui just starts crying, and you're like, fuck, because it hurts. It fucking hurts him to see him in pain like that, just throwing himself like that under the bus, even if it's for the sake of others. And that scene just always gets me, dude.
Well, what's even crazy? So that entire arc starts out with was it Toby?
Tobey.
Yeah, Tobey was one. I think he's the one who wants to confess, right?
Yeah.
So Hayato and his crew, his Goonies, go to the help club and like, hey, we want to confess to one of the girls on the trip, and they're like, okay, I guess we'll do that. But then like Ebina approaches Hachiman later and says, you know, I don't actually think I like anyone in this group like that. I don't know what love is. Mm-hmm. And they all talk about the balance. Even Hayato knows about the balance, which is like, our relationship isn't just superficial, but this is something that's deep, right?
Yeah.
Wanting to actually date someone and getting rejected, and like you're going to have fallout. You know, when you have a group of people and there's mutual friendship, if any of them start dating, it does crack the ship. Because like, what if they break up? What if they get too lovey-dovey? Like it breaks the balance of everything that they've worked so hard to maintain in these years of high school. And it's super crazy when Hachiman is just he fucking just confesses.
Yeah.
I don't honestly, I didn't understand. I also don't agree with his method in this area, because I'm like, you didn't have to do that, right? Like,
no,
yeah,
but
that's the whole point.
I love watching him realize that he has to do it, because you can see is like there's a million scenarios going through his head, and he's like, I got it, and then he just runs up there. I love you.
Yeah, I know, but it's because it's so. You know, from season 1, it's jarring to see how he could have just let it happen and been like, hey, look at how superficial your relationships were, that something so stupid as a love confession. Because Tobey, he doesn't really like Ebina, you know? He's kind of just like, oh, I think she's cute, and I think I kind of like her, so I'd want to, you know, ask if she wants to date. But obviously, Ebina would be like, no, thank you. And then, it would just be too awkward for them to continue to be in the same friend group.
And
right.
You are right about that, though. Like, anytime there's a friend group and people just, like IRL, and two people in there start dating, it ruins the friend group.
Yeah, because now there's sides you have to pick, and anyway.
Because I've been in that situation. It Hachiman 100% destroys the dynamic.
I think it's crazy that Hachiman just didn't let it happen and tell Hayato, because, you know, earlier on, or rather, because of how he feels about Hayato and his friend group, you know, with the whole, oh, your relationships are bullshit, your bonds are bullshit.
Yeah,
it's not
but
real,
to him,
it's superficial.
Yeah, but like for me, it's believable they actually did it, because he's sort of that committed to the service club. Because it's like people come to him with these requests, and it's like, yeah, I'll do it. And even like says it, yeah, I'll maybe like grump about it and stuff, but like I will do it, because he's such a fucking kind soul. I want to hug him, but it's like, oh, he just goes about it so wrong.
Well, it's like, because we also see like the flashback about why Yui even likes Hachiman, and like it turns out Hachiman didn't start high school on time because he was in the hospital because he broke his leg, because he saved someone's dog from getting hit. And it's like, oh my god, look at this precious soul. And that's like why Yui even starts to like him in the first place, and she feels like it's her responsibility that Hachiman is misunderstood and a loner, even though it's like, no, Hachiman's always been like this. TBH.
Yeah, he's always been an asshole. It's not your fault.
But it shows like even more like Hachiman, even though he gripes, he's a grumpy dude, and he's like, oh, because honestly, I relate so much to him, because I'm also like that, where I'm like, oh, I fucking don't want to do this. but I'll still do it because people ask me to do it, and it's like, well, I can't fucking say no,
Yeah,
even though I
for
don't
real.
want to do it.
You mean like editing the podcast?
Yeah, you know? I may have gripes with doing this, and I don't agree with you guys and anything like that I think is superficial, but I'll still do it because I'm not that type of person to just like be like, no, fuck you, go do it yourself. I don't know. It's god damn it. Like this entire show just speaks. It can speak to so many different type of people because of like the circumstances and the situation that Hachiman gets put into. There's a lot of relatability in how we view relationships and stuff.
It's also funny that you mentioned it because, like you said, so Hachiman was late for his first day of high school because he was trying to save Yui's dog from getting hit by Yukino's mother's car.
Yeah.
It's like a smart person might put that together and say, that's awfully convenient that this happened to the three people who get put in the same club.
I mean, obviously, this is like romanticized, like... You know how back in the 80s and 90s they had the rom-coms where the main heroine would meet the bad boy and then she'd be like, oh, what an asshole, but then she'd see the bad boy like saving some kittens from the rain or some shit and be like, oh,
I'm horny now.
Yeah, no, it was
I'm horny.
Marine, what are you doing here? Get out of here. But it's like it's the same trope, you know. It's just modernized, but it still holds the same value, and I'm just like, I was like, I kind of hate this, to be honest, but
I think it's put to good use though in the story. I don't think it detracts from it.
I mean,
no, it does. See, the more you think about it, though, the more you think, God, that's awfully convenient.
Yeah, but it just starts. It's an origin point, and it doesn't really lead anywhere. It's kind of just a flashback of like, why would Yui even be wanting to be involved with the Surface Club in the first place?
Yeah, it gives her an impetus to stay around.
Yeah.
I mean, because she's originally introduced as like needing help fixing a problem, and if that was it, she would just go away. But if you have this like tragic event that connects her to the main character, that being Hachiman, it's like, oh, she actually has a reason to stay around and want to be invested in this.
Also the first request. Oh, I'm sorry, Natai. I gotta talk about my girl Yui real quick.
Me too, bro. Go ahead. Bro.
I've opened the floodgates, everyone.
Listen, I love Yui so much.
My girl.
Yui comes from the popular group, right? She's from the Hayato's clique and stuff, and her first request is just like, hey, I'm kind of sick of this like superficial shit, and these people are kind of assholes. And when she finds out that Yuki, not only Hachiman, because we don't know this until later on in the season, so compared to season 1, we don't know why she would stick around, other than the fact that it turns out Hachiman and Yukino are actually cool people. They're just introverted and can't talk to other people. And Yui feels like she can have an actual bond with these people instead of, her superficial group. And that's why she sticks around.
Yeah. I mean, and she's also, she's the bond that holds, at least for
one
the
of
beginning.
My favorite things is the fact that when, speaking of her introduction, and then she approaches, like a few episodes later, she approaches Hachiman in like a very sort of like, not, she wants to be like friends with him, and then he goes on his fucking monologue about, yeah, she's just a nice girl, I know that type of girl. Then he goes on about like his experience from middle school, and again, as a fucking asshole back in like 2015, 16, me, I was like, yeah, dude, I feel you about how they sort of like these girls sort of like, ghost you and stuff, and that whole fucking bullshit, honestly. And she's like, when you go on, and the moment he labels her, Yuigama is just a nice girl, and then as of you're like, oh yeah, pretty much you think you get her, but she's like so much more than that. There's so much more to her than that. My God, I fucking love her. Anyway, but there's so much more depth to her than that, and it fucking breaks me to see her cry.
I know. Oh my God, I can't.
Season 3 was
I need
rough,
to talk
buddy.
about season. All right, so. Are we done talking about season 1 and 2 and all these themes and stuff?
I mean, we haven't talked about Yukino almost at all, technically.
I fucking hate
there are.
You know why?
Two characters.
Don't shit on Yukino.
Oh Jesus!
Listen, Yukino is the Ice Queen, but
she's not.
Honestly,
that's the point.
Well, she has a harsh tongue, right? And she's kind of like Hachiman, and they're kind of like parallels. Not parallels. They're parallels, perpendicular. I had this whole thing planned out. I don't remember what I was saying last night about it, but I was telling my girlfriend. But anyway, Yukino is similar to Hachiman in the fact that they're introverted and they're actually nice people and they want to do nice things. But the difference between Hachiman and Yukino is that Yukino would never be self-deprecating and like put her reputation at risk because she performs at a higher level, right? Because she's like, well, I can do this. Like, I'm hot shit.
No, I'd argue that she's maybe not self-deprecating, but she is the most like guilt-ridden person of the main trio. Like
I would argue that she's very insecure.
Yeah, she's insecure and guilt-ridden, dude. She like tries to distance herself from both Yui and Hachiman because she's like towards the end of the series. She's like she feels like she's ruining her relationship with both of them, and she's like,
and she also distances herself from her family.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's so fun. And honestly, it's kind of funny how compared to her family, she's the warmest person in like that group.
No, I think her older sister is a lot warmer.
No, Haruno, dude, Haruno. Speaking of, one of the reasons I love Haruno is she is basically older Hachiman. She fucking cuts through all this bullshit. She sees through everyone, and in kind of a very cynical and sad way. And that's why she worried so much for Yukino. You know, it's like she wants the best for them because she sees the bullshit and the shallowness, and she's like, "Come on, bro. You talking about genuine and you really think this is it?"
I mean, and it's ironic that she says that because you find out later that she's just waiting to fall ass backwards into a cushy job.
Not really. No, it's not about that. She's been groomed to take over for her parents. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm saying,
and then she's like,
after that, how would you not be cynical?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Never mind.
That's why I say it's ironic that she says that to
because
Hachiman
she wants the best for Yukino.
But she's about to fall ass backwards into a cushy job.
I don't know if it's a cushy job. Let's remember the fucking Japanese people, and they're super strict about that. It's not like
true.
It's not being fall back into a cushy job. She's just been groomed for that position for like 20 years or so, and she's like, and then she looks
pretty much
at
all of her life.
Yeah, and she looks at her little sister, and she's like, no, don't fall into that whole thing. I want you to go your own direction on your own. And that's why she's like, one of the main things she's on about, she's like, listen, you three, you're like codependent on each other. It's like, and
they were in a love triangle. What are you talking about?
Dude, when Hachiman's like, when she's like, you know what position you're in? And Hachiman's like, yeah, I think I'm in a love triangle. It's like, bro!
He knows! He knows!
I fucking love this show.
Well, there are two other characters I would like to talk about before we kind of move on because we haven't talked about them and they are kind of important. I just want to say I've been watching anime for a long time, and it's kind of sad that I have grown used to the whole sexualized little sister trope.
Komachi!
I'm very happy that I didn't get to see that this time because Komachi is a very important person to this story. She's certainly a very important person to Hachiman.
She's Hachiman's like best friend.
Yeah, pretty much.
I fucking love when Hachiman tries to be like a doting older brother, and then Komachi just like goes like, "Ew, that's gross. Please don't ever do that ever again. I can't believe you'd and just like, eviscerates him."
Bitch.
Yeah.
Look, dude, Ira straight up is like, "Are you a siscon or something?"
And he's like, "No, what? I'm not a siscon. Well, maybe. Actually, maybe." And it's like.
His relationship with Komachi just says so much about him, though, because, like, why is such a caring person, you know? To a fault, to some extent, even.
I mean, I've never I was an only child, so I don't actually know what it's like to have a sibling at all, older or younger, but it seems like, compared to some of the other sibling relationships I've seen in anime, it seems like a really healthy sibling relationship.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like... And it's not a whole, like, I sexualize my younger sisters like a certain Araragi we know.
I love how sometimes he fucking, like, sort of helps his logic to guide him to help things because he knows that'll help Komachi. Like, sometimes there's some moments where maybe Yui Yukino will talk to him about going to, like, some stores to get some stuff for a project they need, and he's like, yeah, I guess I'll buy stuff for Komachi along the way. Yeah, I should probably need that. And sort of, he justifies in his brain to go and help with doing that, you know? I love that.
I love how she's on more than one occasion a fucking bro of a
Yes!
wingman for him too. She's like, "Hey, let's all go to the mall," and then like 5 minutes after she gets, "Oh yeah, I forgot something. Bye."
Nah, she's
And
great.
like and the voice actress for Komachi is Yuki Aoi.
Yeah.
And I fucking love her, and she does a phenomenal job as Komachi.
Yeah.
All the like sharp remarks. Like, it reminds me of like how she does the tsundere characters, like for Tatsumaki, where she has the sharp remarks.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious. It plays really well, especially with how Hachiman responds. It's a good slapstick type humor. I love it.
And you're
Also, her
saying
design is
sharp.
really
The whole
cute.
script is so fucking sharp sometimes. I
Yeah.
adore the dialogue in this show.
Like, and especially the witty like quips and comebacks.
Yeah.
Well, the entire like novel is it's all just monologues. It's so much talking, and it feels like you're watching or you're reading a screenplay, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the appeal of the show. Like, we're just watching. It's like you're watching a high school drama. This is literally just a high school comedy drama. That's it.
Yeah.
And all the characters are interesting, and they all have their own faults, and they all seem stereotyped at first, and you learn more about it. It's like, and it is tropey. Okay, don't get me wrong, it is extremely tropey. But each person, just like in Breakfast Club, that we learn, has unique, like, not perks, unique traits, quirks,
Yeah.
and traits.
It's very
as well.
intentional about
Yeah,
like presenting
it's
itself
just-
as tropey at first because it's through Hachiman's eyes.
Yeah, and it's like, this is just something about relationships and communications, right? This is all the show is about. It's all the novel is about. And it's especially, again, you're hormone-fueled teenagers who don't know how to communicate.
I mean, yeah. So, speaking of people who don't know how to communicate properly or probably communicate too much, I don't think we can move on until we talk about literally the best teacher of all time.
Hiratsuka
gosh.
Sensei!
I fucking love Sensei. All right, so I'm going to
She's
talk
the
about my tier
best.
list. Let me talk about my tier list real quick. Number one girl, freaking Sensei. I love her so much. Like, in the episode where Hachiman realizes, like, oh, Sensei, I wish I was born 10 years earlier.
Yes!
So I could... And I was like, yes, he knows she's best girl. Ah!
I love that back and forth where she's like, yeah, I know I'm like in a kind of bad spot. Like, the only reason I'm in a relationship is because the mistakes I've made along the way. And Hachiman, like, without any doubt, is like, no, it's just because men have trash taste. And she's like, huh? It's like, yes!
And she's like, are you gonna take responsibility? Are you gonna take me? Are you gonna choose me? I'm like, no, you're...
Dude, that
Sensei.
fucking bridge conversation is one of my favorite scenes of the whole show. And it's the same episode where he's like going to Yui and Yukino. It's like, I want something genuine. My God, that episode is like, fucking love it.
That whole conversation between her and Hachiman on the bridge,
Oh,
though,
it's fantastic.
That's some A-tier writing right there. That's
Yeah.
some A-tier dialogue writing.
She's like, puts him in place. It's like, listen, you're going on about this the wrong way. It's like, well, what should I do? And she's like, do what you do best. And like look for like the right words to use and how to approach them, because you need to get your shit straight with them, with Yui and Yukino.
Yeah, because in the very beginning, Sensei knew, like, you have a twisted view on life right now because you've been burned by, like, just the general vibe, right? Where there's a hierarchy and you're in this loner place, but it's just because you guys can't communicate properly. And you need to learn how to express yourself. You need to learn how to think about what you're going to say properly to convey things to other people so they can understand you. And it's just like, this is why Sensei is the best girl.
She's incredible, dude.
She saw through all the bullshit with Hachiman and was like, you're actually a good kid. You're just fucking stupid. And I'm just like, God damn it, Sensei, I love you so much.
When she, at the end of the show, when she's like, you're my favorite student, I'm like, yes! Yes!
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and, like, one of my favorite, like, on a side note, one of my favorite cuts in the show is in the second opening, when there's, like, this shot of her standing next to her car, like, posing, and then it cuts to her, like, being met by a police officer who's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Can I also
so
say
fucking
it
good.
fucking
good.
irks me to no end that on a public school teacher's salary, she's able to afford a $50,000 Lexus IS. What
Let her
the
have
fuck?
it, bro. Let her have it.
Well, because Sensei has made some bad choices in life. Why do you think she doesn't have a boyfriend?
Because she's in fucking debt, apparently.
Someone marry her, please.
Oh shit. I fucking love Sensei. She's definitely one of my favorite
she has a
characters
lab coat.
in the show. And she wears a lab coat just like someone else I know.
Doesn't she teach like English or something? What the fuck?
She is an English well,
She's like their homeroom teacher, I think.
she is. I think she's like just a language arts teacher.
Why does she have a lab coat? Anyway, we're not going to.
I don't know.
It was just a design choice.
Because
we just
she's
wanted
the
to,
I
best.
guess.
That's why.
Maybe she's just a chuny at heart, man.
Yeah, but I love that her place in the series is just like she's kind of the voice of reason and the guy. You know, she's the guidance teacher for their
Yes,
club.
a guidance
so,
counselor, pretty much.
Yeah, and she's just the one that Hachiman has to go to when everything's too much for him. And I think she does a great job being her character. She's like a responsible sensei, and I love the comedy bits too.
Yeah, you said it though, like at the final episode where she's like, "You were the best student I ever had." I had a teacher in high school that I met recently, who told me that I was one of the best students that they ever had when we were talking. I'm like, holy shit! Like,
You're
really?
the best
You
around.
know, I think
Nothing's ever gonna bring you down.
that's actually it's good. It's good to hear that though. After all that shit.
Yeah,
Like,
it
wow,
just
I actually brought some joy to your life.
and I feel like Sensei deserved a lot more, like just happiness. Like I would have loved to see an epilogue where she finds the man or something, but at the same time, she's not really the focus. You know, she's just kind of there.
Maybe that's gonna be like a future novel
Maybe
series. Maybe we'll just follow Sensei.
Hiratsuka Sensei DLC. But
Yes,
I need to talk about my second favorite girl in the series, fucking Iraha Ishiki. I fucking love Iraha so much. All right, and she's my number 2 pick, and the reason being is that she's kind of like she's parallel to Hachiman, where she's actually cynical on the inside, but she pretends to try to be popular, and she cares about being popular and trying to uphold the status quo. But when she's with Hachiman, I just fucking love how they like do slapstick. Like it's similar to how Komachi does it with Hachiman, right? Where it's like Iraha will say something really mean. Like every time Hachiman says something to Iraha, freaking Iraha thinks it's gonna be a love confession and fucking rejects him each time.
are you coming on to me?
Yeah, and it's so fucking funny. I love it so much. It's just, it's actually super great watching him interact with his kohai, because she's annoying. Right? She's a pain in Hachiman's ass. She's a pain in everyone's ass, to be honest. But at the same time, it's like she still wants to be popular and like just have a fun life. She's all about just like having a good time, being friends with everyone. And she also has doubts, right? Like when we have Hachiman helping her out with the student council, and then in the second part of season 2, when they have to do the bridge, right? And they have to work with the other school who's like, they're not taking it seriously. And then Iraha's getting like dumped on because she's the representative. And Hachiman cares like about his kohai, not only because he has to help her because he's part of the service club, but he's just like, Iraha, she wants to do her best and other people are just really shitty.
Yeah, I mean, I liked her by the end, but like when she was first introduced, and even I would say all the way through the second season, I'm like, this girl just seems like a really manipulative bitch.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. I definitely can see that.
She has that side of her, but I think it's a fucking trip to sort of discover her sort of like more down to earth side, Because she's more than that sort of, she's a very sly person and she knows it,
Yeah, I don't know, just there was a bad taste in my mouth when we first met her because she just comes off as this like cynical, manipulative bitch.
Well, because that's what her character arc was about. About her trying to
she's sort of
she was trying to get with Hayama, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's trying to get in Hayama, and then she gets rejected.
Yeah.
And then
she's
to
just
be
like,
fair, he rejects everybody.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to ruin the status quo. Again, Hayama cares about the status quo, about making sure the balance is not interrupted in his little friend group. And then Ira, then she gets consoled by Hachiman, and she's like, maybe I'll just date you, Hachiman senpai. And then he's like, nah. And she's like, what the fuck?
Her rejections towards him, it just gets me every time.
But it's
like how she,
as a character, I think she plays very well with Hachiman, which is why I liked her a lot. Like, would she be the best fit for Hachiman? No. You know, she's completely opposite to Hachiman with the whole.
I would have fucking flipped my table if that was the ending. I fucking no.
I would have been so hyped, even though it would be probably the worst ending. I'd be so hyped because I'm like, yes, I couldn't get my number 1 pick, but my number 2 pick, my number 2.
That's also that's also what this story gets well though, is that like you said, but there's so many cliques in high schools, like whether that's in Japanese high schools or American high schools. I gotta think that's probably the same because teenagers are going to be teenagers, right? And that's what the thing the story gets right so well is how everyone fits into all these different cliques.
Well, yeah, because that's just kind of human nature, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like we talked about Hayama's clique and how like a whole plot point is them not really like the boys in his like group of friends don't really get along without him there, and it's kind of like you fucking saw it. Like I fucking like I know it. Like a lot of group of friends is sort of when there's one guy who's not there, it's not the same, you know. And like for better or for worse, that's up to them. You know, they like need to get their shit straight. But it's kind of like it's so fucking accurate, kind of scary to me.
And then you look back on it, especially some of the issues that were brought to the people in the service club. Is like, wow, like it seems so trivial now that I'm an adult and an allegedly functioning member of society.
Yeah, but for them, they're just fucking kids. They don't know better.
Exactly.
Of course, for them, it's like their entire world.
And that's why it comes off as so fucking real.
God, man. It's almost like
this show.
It's almost like this entire story about relationships and communication and understanding and stuff was meant to, reflect real life. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
This show fucking... Wow, that's a lot of damage. I've been damaged by this fucking show, dude. Oh.
Yeah.
No, I've, dude, especially watching season 3 week to week. Listen, I never in my life had this sort of experience. Like, so in the doc, I noted about the composers and a bit about the music. Listen, when season 3 started airing, it got to a point where when fucking specific tracks started playing, I was like, no, fuck this show. No, it's not gonna make me cry because of a specific arrangement. No.
Alright, so season 3, I watched it all yesterday, and I knew how it was gonna end. I knew who fucking Hachima. Hikigaya. Hachiman.
8-man.
I knew who 8-man picks, right? And my third pick was Yui, BT Dubs, and
my first pick was Yui.
Listen.
Fuck.
I love Yui. She's so precious. She's so cute and innocent. I love her so much. She deserves all the love.
My first pick was Saika.
Of course.
Shut the fuck up.
But also, Hachiman's first pick was Saika.
Yeah, let's be honest. It was the first person he bluffed with.
And I fucking love when they go to the at the end of season 3 where they go to the bathtub or whatever, or the sauna.
Sauna.
And Saika has the towel over his chest because he's a trap and they know it. And everyone else is like, they're showing their chest except Saika because Saika's a trap. And I was like, God damn it, you fuckers.
They know.
Oh, shit. But yeah, Yui, my girl Yui did wrong so hard. I hated so much how they kept like teasing like, oh, maybe Yui will get along with Hachiman. Like,
especially the amount of screen time that she was getting in the third season. Like, holy fuck, are you signaling something to me?
When Yukino is like, I want you to grant Yui's wish, I'm like, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. And then he's like, he's spending so much time with Yui and they make fucking cakes for Komachi. And I'm like, don't do this to me.
Don't dangle this carrot in front of me now.
He takes Yui out on a date And he's like, oh, do you want to go shopping after school? She's like, nani? And then they go, and he's freaking out about the stupid fucking vending machine. And then she takes the selfie with him, and he's like, can you send that to me too? And it has the filter, and I'm like,
no. Listen,
and I knew, I knew she wasn't gonna get picked, and I hated it. I was so pissed. I knew it.
John, listen. I know you're with. I have a pretty good feeling you're with me on that. But the fucking scene, oh my god, when she's like sort of faking sleeping on his shoulder.
Oh yeah,
I fucking felt that. I felt that. I was like, no,
I wish this movie would never end, and I wish we could pause forever. And then she starts crying. Oh my god,
dude, I was. No bullshit. I was bawling my eyes out whenever she had this fucking in that scene and the other scene where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to school, and she realizes he's going for Yukino because he needs to save her, and then she holds back her tears.
Yeah, she's crying,
and he starts going, and then she goes to the corner of the street, and she just lies down, and she starts going like, no.
And then they fucking play her singing the ED song. They play it.
Dude, whenever they play her ballads, I'm like, no, you're not fucking doing this to me. Oh,
bastards.
I fucking hate this.
I told you. I could
so imagine, because I know Natai watched this week to week, and I could so imagine Natai just when that scene gets there, he pauses it, and he's just like, no.
Listen.
No.
I'm not doing this shit.
No,
I'm not doing this shit. Fuck you.
So, even though I marathoned all of it yesterday, after like every episode, I'd have to pause and I had to take a break because I was like, I can't. I fucking can't rough, right now, dude. Like, I can't believe they do this to me. These fuckers playing with my emotions.
God bless Naoto, the fucking voice actress of Yui, because my god, that's like the role of her career, and she fucking poured her heart out for this. Like, oh my god, I love Yui so much, and it's so fucking hard watching this, especially the third season.
Yeah, and it's... And then, so they fucking... And I hated, but also liked how they eliminated each ship. I hated that they teased our Yui ship for the first 2 episodes, or first 3 episodes, and then shot us fucking down at episode 5. But, and then the fucking Ishiki ship, the Iraha ship, I was just like... Yeah. Where she was like, I fucking hate how you're flirting here, and like, you don't know how this makes me feel, senpai, and you know, not all girls.
You need to take responsibility.
Yeah, and then she's like, not all girls like to be treated like little sisters, and you know, because she realizes, Iraha realizes, like, yeah, I'm kind of a cunt, but Hachiman is always nice to me and treats me nice and tries to help me out all the time, and she's like, you know, I wish you'd take responsibility for that. And I was like, Iraha, no, my ships. My ships!
I will say,
listen, I love Iroha, but Yui always, especially in season 3, she just knows how to get me bawling my eye. Listen, I cried so much watching season 3.
Boy.
I'm not even gonna lie, but it's like, what? Oh, this fucking show.
I know.
I will say, although I'm not disappointed in how it ended.
Me neither, by the way.
Well, obviously, because you're still ranting about it. I do think that the final scene was done really, really well.
Yes,
where Yui actually comes to the club, and everyone's there. Everyone they've ever helped comes back to the club.
Because she's like, her wish, like, even though it seems for a period of time that maybe she and Yukino wants the same thing, no, Yui just wants all of them to be together, both Hachiman and Yukino. And she gets that by the end because they're all together in the club, and it's fucking great. I fucking love it that by the end they do want like different things, and they get it.
Because Yui, since she's part of the popular group, she always wanted, like, she knew she couldn't break the status quo. She didn't want that. She wanted time to just last forever, where she was kind of in a flirty like mood with Hachiman, when still good friends with Yukino. But you know, that's not relationships evolve. You know, eventually you got to grow out of that. You can't keep the balance forever.
And I think she did. Yeah. I honestly think she did grow out of her fantasies with Hachiman.
When she was just like...
It broke my heart, like, dude.
I have a problem. The guy that I like has a girlfriend, and that girlfriend is my best friend. I was like, no! Yui, no.
When I realized when she entered the service club and she said yeah hello, a part of me was like, this is the last yeah hello of them all, and I'm just no, I don't want this show to end. Fuck.
Yeah. And it was just God, they did my girl Yui so wrong.
Yeah,
She deserves
I do think,
happiness.
But honestly, I'm with you on that. Like, I just want you to be happy. But I honestly, when that fucking it's another fucking bridge. When Yukino and Hachiman had their sort of confession to some extent on the bridge, I smiled so fucking hard, like from ear to ear.
why is it
I
all
was
the
like,
important shit in this
yes.
show happens on bridges?
Yes,
because
and when she
it
said,
symbolizes the bridge between them, the connection. They're having a deep moment.
God
more than
damn
that,
it,
let me.
that's
Oh,
so
dude.
good.
No. You want me to go even further? They were looking at cars going forward. It's their fucking future they're talking about, bruh.
I know.
It symbolizes their future.
There's a
together.
lot of symbolism
And I'm like,
in the show too.
yes.
But honestly,
The direction in season 2 and 3 is fucking spot on. My God.
yeah, and
Sorry.
my girl Yui, breaks my heart.
I also love the
yeah.
fact that the final line of the entire series is a title drop by Hachiman.
I knew it was gonna be that.
Fucking
though.
dropped it like a
I
madman.
fucking knew the title because the title drop. The episode name was My Teenage Love Comedy Snafu, right?
No,
Whatever
yeah,
it is.
it's my
See, I didn't
youth
even
romantic
look at the
comedy as
title.
wrong as I expected. That was the title.
See,
of the
I
Yeah.
didn't even look at the episode title. I was like, I'm going as blind as possible. I'm not letting this.
The
fucking
episode
website...
title was the title of the show, and then I knew Hachiman was gonna say that at the end. I fucking knew it.
like a mad lad.
he looks straight at the camera and just goes, "Well, my youth romantic comedy is wrong, as I expected," and then it
in
just
all
fades to
seriousness,
black, and
though-
I'm like, "My man."
My man.
And
you know,
I also did respect
like-
though. Before we go on, I did respect that Yukino actually straight up said, "I do love you, Hachiman,here she does.
Yes, I
confession.
was about to
I
say
was
that.
just like,
Yes.
Thank God.
And then she just
Thank
fucking
God
runs
they didn't
away.
leave it ambiguous, right?
Yes, they went for it. They didn't just fucking like, I don't know, grab their balls like, oh, never mind, psych. When she said, I love you, I'm like, thank you. Yes. Fucking
Would have been nice to get a kiss, but I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, I mean,
They got a good hug out of it.
yeah, good side hug, good Christian hug.
A good Christian, wholesome hug. Oh man. I guess we need to wrap this up because we have been going for a little while here. But I want. There was two.
And I can't get enough. You see, I need to talk about this show. Sorry. Keep going.
Wait, no. Before we wrap it up, I need to talk a little bit about how I believe Yui was wronged, even though she is not a good fit for Hachiman.
I'm totally with you on that, bro.
So like,
I'm
I
totally
love
with
Yui.
you on that.
I want her to be happy, and she likes Hachiman. And I was like, Hachiman, you should choose her because she's nice and bubbly. But Yui is like the polar opposite of Hachiman, right? He doesn't want to be out in the crowd. He doesn't want to be the center of attention.
Because she lives in a fantasy compared to him,
Yeah.
honestly. She just but dude, oh my God, when they sat at that fucking diner and she just gives him that look where she's like, you're such a kid. And I'm like,
I know the fucking facial expressions, and then like when they're at that date and she sees the family and she wants to talk about the future in episode 4, and I'm like, she saw that family and was like, oh, maybe that could be my future with Hachiman. I was like, no, girl, that's not how this story ends. No, fuck.
Because like halfway through season 3, you see it coming, and I just, dude, I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm getting teary. Just thinking about it. But it's like, I just want it to be. That goes for the 3 of them. I just want them to be happy.
Yeah.
You know.
But the main difference, though, of why
Fuck.
Yukino should have been picked over Yui is because Yui didn't have the courage to break the balance, and that's like
which is
that broke my heart. Because I was like, but
to some extent, she's sometimes the bravest of the 3 of them.
I know.
Like the ending of season 2, the fucking cliffhanger. She's like, bruh, we need to talk about this shit. Like, and Yukino, if you're not gonna make a move, then I'll do it. And she's like, and you see how much painful it is for her because she doesn't want to lose the relationship with Yukino. And I'm like, oh,
Exactly. Oh, God.
Why is this show
Like-
over? Fuck.
This is just one of those, like, comedy dramas. This is a teenage comedy drama that just suckered us into it. And we got so invested into
Yes!
these fucking characters.
And you ate it all up, didn't you?
I did. I fucking and
Yes.
it's so good.
And I'm like, I mean, I bitch a lot about shows that I enjoy, and I'm like, yep, this is never getting an ending. I'm never getting a conclusion. It's just gonna be that show. It's like, oh yeah, I watched a season of it, and that's all it got. And it's like, yeah, it was good. But then we got the actual full adaptation of this show. And listen, so last night I finished it. By the time I'm just recording, and I was awake till like 6 a.m. in the morning thinking about it and like trying to come to grips with it. And I'm so fucking happy with how it turned out, because it's a show where I can recommend it to people and friends of mine. I'm like, yeah, watch this show, because without a shadow of a doubt, this is my favorite, like, I don't know if comedy, but romance drama show type of thing in anime. I fucking love the characters. I fucking love these people. I just wanted to be happy. It's kind of like, I'm so happy that it got the ending it deserved, you know? Even if I'm like, yeah, Yui got like the short end of the stick. God bless her. But yeah, I am happy with how Yukino and Hachiman turned up. Listen, they fucking went on a date, and she came in with like the fucking twin tails. I'm like, and
then he's like, "Oh,
I
guess you wear it on your days off." And then she's like, "No, even on my days off, I don't wear this hairstyle." So it implies that she did it special for their date. And fucking
yes. When they wanted to take that selfie with the boba, it's like, oh, just use mine because I haven't drank from it. Like, my man!
And then she goes and makes the selfie with them together, and then he's just embarrassed. He's like, oh, we need to retake this because I'm embarrassed. Oh, goddamn. God damn it.
Listen, I don't remember ever watching a show weekly that managed to consistently make me bawl out like a fucking baby. It's so good. Oh, I just want him to be happy.
Yeah, this show is one of my favorite rom-coms to date now, because it's like,
it might be in my top 10 now.
It's definitely in my top 10. Like, it's a solid 8.5 if I had to give it a scale out of 10, because of like there are issues with it. You know, there's a lot of, because
it's not perfect.
It's hard to, how many eepisodes do we get each season? Like 12?
38.
Well, yeah, there were 13 and
then 12.
Well, if you count the OVA.
No. It's 13 for season 1, 13 for season 2, and 12 for season 3. So 38.
Yeah, so we had like a single core for each season, and there's 17 volumes. All right, there's a lot. If you really enjoyed watching the anime, I would fucking go read the light novel. All right, there's so much more in depth of monologuing. More.
Fuck yeah,
it's
bro!
so good. All right, like this is. I normally don't like dramas that are too dramatic and too like wordy. I like rom-coms that are like half rom, half com, right? Not like drama and like inner monologue, because who cares? I just want the fluffy shit. Okay, I don't care about the rest. But
the fluffy shit is so good.
But the heart-wrenching moments along with the fluffy shit in the series, it just plays really well together. And I really recommend that wherever you are, if you can, support the author, buy the volumes where they're released, and like just read it. If you watch it, buy the DVD tins, do everything to support this, because
that's what I'm gonna do.
I'm hoping that I don't know what the author is gonna do now after SNAFU's done, because like
a Sensei spinoff.
Oh my god, a Sensei spinoff would be
Shut
so
the fuck
good.
up.
But that's pandering. We don't want pandering. But I really recommend
Sensei
the show.
Be happy.
I want to see all the girls end up happy. So
yeah.
But and it's beautiful of a story how a guy goes from like being so cynical, how a lot of people were in high school about relationships and bonds and stuff. Like this is all bullshit.
Yep.
None of this is real. To actually realizing like you have to go through the superficial to find the actual bonds, and then you never know what will turn into an actual bond, what's real, right? Like how can you say that this relationship is shallow if you don't even try it in the first place? Like you don't know the depth that it can go. And that's like it's mind-boggling. Like Hachiman finds the real truth behind like in the beginning compared to fucking everyone sucks and meh, whatever. And
he finds his genuine like relationship.
He finds the real deal.
So fucking listen, when he has his breakdown and he's like, I just want to have a genuine relationship. It's like, fuck, dude, because that comes from the guy who, like a fucking shitlord, and I mean, I fucking as a kid, as a teenager, I can relate. Was like, oh, all of these relationships are just fucking shallow, and there's no actual basis to them. It's nothing. When high school over, they'll be gone. And then he's like, no, I just want to find this genuine place to be with you guys. And he struggles, and both you and Yukino struggle, and it's so satisfying to like reach the end of the show, and he is a changed man. Fuck, I mean, Sensei just talks to him about his first like essay of the show, and he's like, "Well, that was embarrassing," because of course it is.
Yeah,
of course it is. Like, isn't that what all of us just are looking for? A genuine place, a genuine relationships in our lives. Fuck, dude.
Yeah, because it's so much easier to reject it, you know? Because to find a genuine, deep connection with someone, you have to open yourself up to hurt, to being hurt, right?
You also have to open yourself up to letting you trusting other people, trusting a stranger.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't want to go through that because it hurts, right? It's scary, it hurts, and it's easier to just be like, oh, it's all shallow, it's all superficial.
Yeah.
And
there's a chance you can get really hurt if they actually like reject you down the line. Like you invest an enormous amount of emotion and energy and effort into a relationship, and then down the line they're like, I don't want to be with you no more.
But that's just
Yui.
But that's just how relationships are. You know, it's complicated. It's not black and white. People have to get hurt, but it's okay because that's how life is. You know, it's like,
you struggle.
Go out there and struggle some more until you find the genuine connections that will keep you going.
I mean, all three of us here have been in relationships before. I think we can all attest to that. Like, and in real life, like, getting into a relationship is a risk, but it's a risk worth taking because the potential rewards at the end of it are really good.
I don't know. Until they break your heart. I don't know, man.
You're a brave man saying that because I know your girlfriend's right next to you.
Shh. She doesn't know.
I mean, but here's the thing, like, I don't fucking want to get into this. But yeah, like, my previous relationship, for all I have to say about it, and I joke about it to Alex every now and then, like, I am grateful for the relationship that it was, because I do think I came out a better person when it did end, you know? And that's fucking genuine. Like, yes, we will struggle. We will suffer. We will, like, fucking, oh my god. Like, the last ending song of the series is all about how, and even the second one, is all about, yes, even though we're gonna scar each other to some extent, like, it is all for the better because, like, we do, like, care for each other. And fuck, man.
Do you need a hug, Natai?
I'm okay.
You sound so dejected.
The whiskey was a bad idea.
I told you it would be, damn it.
Yikes.
I fucking love this show so much, bro.
I did want to say, so John, you kind of already answered this before, but I guess, would you say that this is a really good adaptation of the source material, seeing as you have read the source?
I think the source is like infinitely better because there's a lot more to learn about each character.
How much did they cut from the source material? I'm curious.
Oh god, a shit ton, dude.
I feel like they probably cut a lot of inner monologues and dialogue.
They cut out a lot of scenes where it's kind of like this is the character arc, right? For these certain background characters that we see in passing. They don't go as in depth, obviously, and again, it's 12 episodes and.
But yeah, given the time they were given, how do you feel about this adaptation?
I think that they summarized it pretty well. I wish there was more we could see of like the Yui train.
Me too, bro.
TBH, but it was just set up to break your heart. So who cares?
Listen. When they fucking played the first opening at the last episode, I was like, "Fuck this show so much. I love it." No, it's definitely going on in my top 10 now.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
All right. And then John also answered this question because you said you would give it overall like an 8 or an 8.5.
An 8.5. Solid. Not 9.
8.5.
Because, again, it's... Maybe if I didn't read the source, it would be a 9. But because I read the source, I'm like, well, half a point off for summarizing too much. You had too much to tell me that you didn't do it. Fucking Watari. How dare you?
I would
Wataru, what have you done to my heart, you piece of shit?
I mean, I would be in a similar vein. I'd say an 8, just a straight 8.
Okay.
For 8 man.
It's 8 man.
For me, my God, for me it's probably a 9, maybe a 9.5. It's probably gone on my top. Like I talked about. I know it might sound like it's maybe too much information. I don't fucking care. I'm drunk. I like, dude, this show just means a lot to me, and I'm so fucking happy that it ended on such a high note and with that much care put into it. You can tell the actors like care about these characters, and you can tell like the studio cares about this show because they like, yeah, like we lost some stuff probably in terms of content, but given the time they had, I am super happy with what we got. And it's so fucking satisfying that like maybe a buddy of mine who's into some like a romantic comedy is like, hey, I got this like 38 episodes show. Give it a try. Maybe you'll like it. Because I know that on a personal note, again, like I'm not happy with how it was like in my high school years. I'm not. But
no
then
one
like
is, Natai.
watching this show, yeah, probably. But I like watching this show and like getting this fucking slap to the face while watching it and watching Hachiman grow as a person. Like fuck, dude, I just love these characters so much, and I just want them to be happy. And it got me through really dark times, and I'm so happy that I got to see it to the end. You know, like my God,
Yeah.
dude,
And now it's over.
Oh,
it's over, and I'm so fucking sad.
yes, that void in your soul when you finish a series and you're just like, oh, it's
And
done.
it's like you really
There's
can't
no
go
more.
back to anime for a couple of days at least.
Well, it's just like it's done. It's over. It's kind of
It's over.
It's over. Have the high ground.
It's over.
It's over, Anakin. I have the fucking high ground.
It's over, Anakin. Oh my God.
But I completely understand how
I'm
you
just
feel
happy
though.
right now.
Like, cause
Yeah.
I mean, as Alex knows, after I read the last like chapter, I had to talk about it. I was like, I have to say shit. I can't sit here and not say anything about this great experience I just had.
The amazing
but
thing,
also-
the amazing thing, I will always remember that conversation because you joined the voice chat I was in. It's like, hey, you want to know a secret?
Do you want to know a secret?
Oh man, I do. I can tell how passionate Natai is about it because he talks about this the same way I talk about Violet Evergarden.
Dude, it's like we talk about this fucking show. So they're all online about like genuine relationships and that show. This fucking show gave me that genuine sort of slap to the face. It's like, listen, grow out of it, of what you're doing right. What you're doing right now is not right.
Stop
it's
it.
not fucking right.
Get some
And
help.
it's like I remember, yeah, and I remember people like this show is fucking romanticizing being like Hachiman. And when I watched season 2 back, I think it was like 2015, 2016, I was like, well, at first I thought it was like, yeah, this show gets me. And it's like, no, dude. It's like relationships are so much more than that. It's like, even if you see people around you, and you're like, oh, they're just shallow. It's like, no, people are so much more than the sum of their parts, you know? It's like, fucking, even if you don't like some people, they are more than that. And you should, like, give them the benefit of the doubt. And and especially when it comes to relationships, you know? It's, fuck, man, I don't know, man. This show just fucking wrecked me to my core. It shook me to my core. I know maybe it's like
shook.
a fucking cliche. No, I know it's a fucking maybe it's a fucking cliche, but I'm just, it did shake me to my core, and I fucking love it for what it did to me, and it to some extent saved me. It's just,
Oh, you were saved, just like Yukino.
yeah, dude. When she's like, "Please save me," I'm like, Don't
When
do
she
this
said
to
that,
me.
stop.
Stop.
When she said that, I'm like, ooh, girl, same.
oh God.
I told you I'm gonna gush.
Yeah,
I
well,
told
you did, and
You did.
we've been gushing for nearly an hour and a half now.
Yikes.
John, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
No, but it was great. I'm glad that I finally. I'm glad that Natai, you accosted me enough to where I actually watched it. I really enjoyed it.
I'm sorry if I bugged you too much.
Oh
about
no,
it,
no.
you know.
This is how you get me to actually watch stuff. You just piss me off enough to where I watch it.
Fuck you, man.
But I don't know if it's like gonna go in my top 10, but it is. I will certainly say it is one of, if not the best anime rom-coms I've ever watched.
Fuck yeah.
Well, because it's
Fuck
like
yeah.
it's typical. It has stereotypical stuff. There's just tropes left and right, but just the character depth
It's
and
still so real.
watching
And the
all
amount
of them
of
interact.
the amount of different characters there are. I mean, there's a character in this for everyone.
Yeah, and the execution of it was just superb, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Kawasaki, aishiteru.
God.
Sorry.
I
keep
think
going,
that's
I'm sorry.
it. What else is there to say?
I'm so sad it's so
Natai.
just.
Natai,
Bruh,
come here.
I
It's
know.
group hug. Group hug.
Oh, okay. Wait, no, we
Yeah,
can't.
6 feet.
6 feet. 6 feet.
Social
Social distancing,
apart,
bruh.
so it's not gay.
Oh, wow. Okay then.
Thank you all there for dropping in to listen to us. Check the description below to find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitch, on social media, and on Discord. Do check out our merch store and our affiliate links as well. Any purchases you make there do help us out a lot. With that, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, everybody.
Twitch.tv/anime club after dark.
They can find that down below. They have eyes, Natai.
Yeah. What the heck? They did my girl Yui so wrong. I can't. I'm so salty.
I just want to hug her, bro. I
Just
wanna
head
give
pats.
her a
Head
hug.
pats. It's okay, Yui.
I just want to say the only person Hachiman ever said that he wanted to have cook for him was Saika.
God,
damn
damn
it.
it.